Okay, you want to start?
Of course.
Go
What have
ahead.
you got for us today, Ligeia?
Monkey see, monkey do. Um, you know it. Oh, sorry.
Nope,
Um,
you're fine. I was just making a face. That's
I can't see it. No.
damn it. I was hoping you'd say monkey business, but you know what? Monkey see, monkey do is good too.
It's about that. So, when I was little, there was only one continent. We lived in a cave. We ate dinosaur meat, and my ears hurt all day from the Big Bang. What I'm trying to say is that I'm old. So when
Apparently
I was in
very old.
school,
What the fuck? You like some eldritch being? This is new. Lore on
exactly.
Ligeia.
Yes, that's how I know Poe and Lovecraft.
Oh, because you know them personally. Oh, it's all making sense now. That's why you know all these stories. Oh my god, we've cracked it.
Had so much time. I'm Lovecraft's librarian, and
It's a great title.
maybe we'll go into that one day. So there is an actual story with a time-traveling librarian monster. Um, but what I wanted to say is, when I was in school, we had that rule, not to hit the kid with the glasses. And I know you're not quite as old as I am, and you went to school in a different country, but I'm pretty sure that you also had this rule.
I mean, it was kind of an unspoken rule,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
you
both of
shouldn't
us,
hate kids anyway. But that's carry on.
right. So both of us have something in common with baboons, because baboons also have that rule.
They don't hit people with glasses.
Well, it's slightly different, but in baboon society, it's basically like high school. You have the jocks, the nerds, and the girls, and the jocks like to beat up the nerds, but they can't beat
Oh,
them up when they're wearing glasses, or in this case, when they're carrying a baby around. So, what male baboons do is that they go to the girls and they volunteer to babysit.
so they don't get beat up.
Right. Because the jocks are afraid that if they accidentally hurt the baby, they'll get into trouble with the girls.
Mm, that wow. That's really interesting. So they have a level of cliqueiness going on with their own bizarre rule. That's really interesting.
Yes, and it's a win 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 situation. The moms win because they have some time for themselves. Of course, we all love our kids and we want to be with them, but humans and even dogs, they sometimes need time away from their kids. So your kids don't follow you to the toilet, literally. Um, so that's good for them. It's good for the nerds because the nerds don't get attacked. And it's also good for the babies because they have someone who carries them around.
It's just not good for the jocks because they can't beat anybody up.
Oh,
Hmm.
they can deal with it. They can beat up a lion cub or something. And baboons do that, by the way. They kidnap lion cubs and they throw them from trees and high rocks
Why?
because they understand that this cub is going to grow up into a lion, like a massive predator, and adult lions eat baboons.
Right.
So,
But wouldn't
killing
they be chased by the mother lion? The lioness? I mean, obviously you stole her baby. She's not gonna not notice that.
depends. They don't always notice that.
Wow.
And lions are heavier than leopards. So leopards are really good at climbing trees. And
Hmm.
leopards do this because they don't want their meals stolen by lions or hyenas. So for a grown lion, it's difficult to climb a tree and to get the baby back. And I find it so very interesting that baboons recognize the danger. They don't think this is a cute little kitten. They think this is a future predator, and I need to eliminate it before it can start to eat my people.
It's yeah. I mean, I can't really find the word for it at the moment. I want to say proactive. That's not really the appropriate word. It's it's dark. It is dark. I suppose it's animal intelligence for sure. It's forward thinking, I suppose. It's still pretty dark, but
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
We're talking about some very dark stuff here, and we're laughing, but we're laughing because it's weird. Because you wouldn't
Yes.
believe that something like this exists. So we're not laughing because we're happy that lion cubs get harmed. But it's really the only reaction you can come up with in this situation because it's so strange.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why it's too weird to be true, right?
Right. So this is one thing monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
Um, these baboons have probably copied other baboons. They saw this, they saw that weak males, or as we call them, nerds, cannot be attacked when they're carrying a baby. So they observed this and then they copied the behavior. And that's what we're talking about today, about monkeys copying behavior, and not always behavior of other monkeys, but also behavior of humans.
Hmm.
And I think the baboons are a pretty good starting point for that. Our next point are snow monkeys or onsen monkeys. So, onsen is a Japanese steam bath. Um, hot springs are also called onsen.
Hmm.
And you've probably heard of these snow monkeys that live in Japan and that bathe in hot springs.
Yeah, it's been pretty popular around, especially the mimi circles. You know, you tend to see monkeys bathing in hot springs. So I'm pretty sure I know which ones you're talking about.
Yes, there is a very famous picture of a snow monkey in the water playing with a smartphone, and the monkey looks at the smartphone and is wiping its finger across it, and it really looks like that monkey is working with a smartphone. So it looks exactly like someone who's looking up something.
He's had the phone for what, maybe like 30 seconds. He's already figured it out. That is like is impressive.
I don't think it works. To be honest, I think that monkey is just copying tourist behavior because it stole the phone from some tourist and then it started doing exactly what the tourist had been doing.
Yeah, even though it's not aware of what it's doing. I get you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and the whole monkey in hot springs thing is a thing that they copied. So this is not something that has been going on for centuries. It started in 1963 that a young female monkey followed a man into a hot spring. She had seen people at a hotel spring. They went into the water, they went swimming, and they just sat in the water. So this young monkey observed them. And then she herself tried it. And of course, this is huge for these monkeys because they live in an area where there's snow and they don't have clothes. We'll come to the clothes later when we're talking about the Thai monkeys. But in winter, hot springs come in really handy.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you can see these societies of snow monkeys bathing. They've been doing this for 61 years.
Wow. That's an impressively long record.
It's new behavior, but it's already a pretty long tradition. They learn it from each other. So the mothers take their babies into the springs with them. They've realized that they can sit in the hot water, that it's not going to cook them, for example. So this is pretty good for them.
Mm.
And they belong to a type of monkey that is very, very common in this world, and that is macaques. I think you've heard of rhesus macaques.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, look at your blood type. And you usually have a letter, and then you have a plus or a minus behind that letter. So you can be A positive or B negative or something like that.
Mm.
And the plus and the minus, they refer to these rhesus monkeys. Because if you have plus blood, that means your blood mixes with monkey blood, and minus blood doesn't mix with monkey blood.
Really? I did not know that. Well, how about that? That's a fun fact for me right there.
So the negative blood is pretty rare. Not many people can't mix their blood with monkey blood, but it happens. And these monkeys were used for testing. precisely because they are so numerous. It's easy to catch them.
Mm.
And they live in large groups in India, for example, so India and Southeast Asia. And they're a real problem because they have a culture that can become problematic when they're dealing with people. And part of that culture is if you feed them, they will see you as someone who is of low rank because dominant animals in their groups don't share food. And that can get dangerous because after a while, once you've shared your food, they will expect you to share your food, no matter what it is and no matter which situation. So they will come through your window while you're eating lunch and they will expect you to give up their food and let them have it. And they can get pretty aggressive.
I mean, similar with seagulls in a kind of way. They can also be quite aggressive and just expect
Yeah,
food from you, or just in some cases completely steal it. Hmm?
right.
That's why you
And
shouldn't
these
feed wild animals. You know, it's true. Shouldn't do it. It's bad.
that is right. And these monkeys, they will not only steal food, they will beat you up. They will bite you.
That's bad. Well, then you have to worry about. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but potential diseases and stuff. You get bit
Yes.
by a monkey. That's bad.
Yes. So that is one reason why they're a problem because after a while, the more monkeys learn that they can extort food from people, um, the more this will become a part of the group's culture. And you have large groups of macaques in India who are used to being fed by tourists. And after a while, they just assume that all humans are of low rank. So they will treat you like shit no matter what. And even if you've never fed them, they will try to get food from you because they think, okay, this is the species that has to give up their food for us.
Mm.
And it's
Mob
usually
mentality.
tourists. Yes, it's usually tourists. So the Indians living in these places, they're not that stupid. But the tourists think, great, cute monkey. Um, so tourists are usually the culprits here. But even when you don't feed them, these monkeys develop this mentality that they're entitled to your food. So it does happen that they just come through your window and try to steal your lunch. And they do this with Indian people as well. But what's worse is that they also steal other things. And one thing, or one little being, would be puppies. This is something that the macaques see when they watch humans, that humans have dogs and the macaques also want dogs. This is a
Oh.
situation that resembles the crazy cat lady situation. Um, there are studies about this. These macaques that kidnap puppies and take them with them into the trees, they're often older, childless females. You get the picture.
Yeah, I see. I see what you're trying to say. Yeah.
They take them as substitute kids and they try to feed them inappropriate things like fruit, for example. So you have a puppy that is very young and it needs milk, but a macaque kidnaps that puppy, takes it up into the trees, and tries to feed it grapes.
Tries to
And these
pretend it's like a macaque baby. Yeah.
right, yeah, they think this is their baby. And the dogs usually starve to death if they're not falling from trees or rooftops. Um, yeah, at some point, the macaque mothers give up on their disabled children, so they really have the idea this puppy should be able to cling to them when they swing through the forest. They think that the puppy should develop like a macaque baby develops. So when that doesn't happen, they get frustrated and they get bored and they just leave them behind on rooftops or they throw them down from trees, which the puppies usually don't survive. Or very simple, the puppies simply starve to death because they can't get the food that they need.
That is very sad.
Yes. But in some cases, these puppies do grow up. So there are some macaque mothers that are better at keeping them alive than others. And you will see pictures here of grown macaques riding on dogs or defending dogs. So in one picture, you have a macaque mother going up against a grown dog, and she's protecting her puppy against that grown dog, and they have massive teeth.
Oh, yeah.
That is one thing. So some of these puppies survive, and the monkey mothers take care of them, and they kind of use them as battle steeds. There are legitimately monkeys that ride on these dogs when they're grown.
It's kind of cool.
In a way, they're domesticating them, which should probably terrify us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go so well for most puppies. So all of this would not be a problem. The police wouldn't be interested in this um, if it wasn't for these macaques also trying to kidnap human children.
Oh.
Yeah, there have been some cases of little babies, so only a few months old, because when they get bigger, the macaques can't carry them anymore. And they literally steal them from their cradles. And then they run away with a very, very young baby. And it has happened that they just drop them on their flight. So the baby fell from a rooftop or a tree, and sometimes they just drop them in wells because they need to get rid of them so they're faster and can get away faster from the human mob that is hunting them and is trying to get the baby back. And that is a real problem with these macaques, that they're not just petty criminals. They can actually kill humans.
Wow. Just incredible to really paint that picture.
And this is why India has a monkey police. And
Do
the
they
interesting
stop the
thing
other
is,
monkeys?
the interesting thing about it is that not only the criminals are monkeys, but the policemen are also monkeys.
God.
It's a different species of monkey. So for the Indian monkey police, they're using grey langurs, and grey langurs are bigger than macaques.
Hmm.
They're a bit more slender. They're these grey monkeys with black faces. And they are used as police monkeys, and they don't have the same culture as the macaques. So when you feed the langurs, they're not turning on you. They're fine with being fed, so they take this as payment. Um, and they don't think that you're of low rank. You can see this in some Indian cities that people have these grey langurs with them, and they chase away the macaques because the macaques are really terrified of them, of these bigger monkeys that are also stronger and faster, and they beat the macaques up if they get them. You know, people have tried to catch these macaques, shooting at them with tranquilizer arrows and taking them down, but this usually doesn't work well. And quite often, the monkeys, when they're hit with these arrows, they can still run away, and it takes a while until the tranquilizer sets in. So that it happens that they fall from buildings or from trees, or that they just pull it out and it wasn't enough, so they can still get away. And they will come back. And that doesn't happen when you have a legitimate monkey police, when you have these grey langurs, because the macaques are so scared of them that they run away from them and they don't come back for a while. So you do one raid and then you're safe for a couple of weeks. So we will have pictures here of langurs riding on mopeds with the police. They're not allowed to drive, don't worry. Um,
They get like the little sidecars. That'd be so cute.
but I think that's in Thailand. So we'll get to Thailand. Um, but yes, the langurs, you will usually see them with a leash on for their police work, and the policemen, the human policemen, let them off the leash when they're going after the macaques. It's easy for them to follow them across the rooftops and through the trees because the langurs are able to do that. Human policemen would have a problem. And you can see them on police cars, for example. And very interestingly, uh, there was a newspaper with a title that Monkey Police is protecting Trump while he's visiting India.
Wow. it's a great headline. I think it's quite funny, but unless everybody knows that they're actually talking about an actual monkey police force, they're gonna think it's just some kind of like a ridicule of a police force. That's
Yes.
funny.
Yes, so that is the background of this headline, that yes, they have monkey police, and they have policemen who are literally monkeys going after criminals that are literally monkeys, but they're also protecting Donald Trump from monkey criminals.
But not people criminals. Don't worry about that. You know, just the monkey criminals, because they're
Yes.
very aware that he's coming, and they're really eager to to steal from him.
They already have plans, you know.
They got all the little battle plans written out. They've written it down on some leaves and stuff with some crude drawings of just like a, it's just a picture of Trump, and he's got like a bunch of grapes next to him. And
Like cave art.
yeah, so that's some Planet of the Apes type stuff. We're not quite there yet.
Not quite, but we're getting there. Um, because in Thailand, so Thailand is next, we also have monkey police, and Thailand monkey police has little uniforms.
Oh my god, look at them. It's like custom made and everything. That it's not like, they went out and were like, "Oh yeah, we'll just get some like children's t-shirts and put them on." No, they got like it looks like official police stuff that they got made for. That's incredible.
Right. So this is a completely different level. People in Thailand also have this problem. You know, everywhere where these macaques live, you can run into these problems. It's not happening in Japan yet, probably because they don't feed the macaques. People know what would happen, but macaques are super common around the world. There is even a little group of macaques in Texas, and these are Japanese snow macaques. I have no idea how they got there. But there is one group that lives in Texas. So
That is so weird.
theoretically, you could need monkey police in Texas, but I guess they'll just shoot them with big calibers.
Yeah, I mean the last thing you want to do is arm a monkey, so probably good to not have a monkey police force in Texas.
Oh, you think that because they're Texans, they would give their gray langurs guns?
I mean, maybe, right? Like that's the next step, isn't it? Letting them use some kind of weaponry.
Isn't there a quote by Borat who said, "Giving a woman power is like giving a monkey a gun"?
It's crazy. We say to give a woman power is like to give a gun to a monkey.
We need to find that clip.
Yeah, we'll find that. We'll put that in. That's that's fucking great.
He anticipated the Texan monkey police.
He was years ahead of everybody. How about that, Sacha Baron Cohen? He's too clever.
Especially with his green mankini.
Yeah, it's an image that never leaves your mind.
Okay, moving on. Thailand. The interesting thing about the Thai monkey police is not only that they have tiny uniforms that are custom made for them, but also that they're the same species as the criminal monkey.
Okay.
You have bigger monkeys of a different species policing the macaques. And in Thailand, you're one step ahead. The macaques are policing their own people.
Wow.
And I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, that's. I gotta look into that. I'm quite intrigued.
If you're a Thai monkey handler, please tell us.
Yeah, we'd really love to hear from you. If you're a Thai monkey handler, can you shoot us a message? Maybe comment down below, or just shoot me an email. We're really interested in understanding how it all works, and maybe if you have some video footage or pictures, that'd be cool too. If you could send those along, that'd be great.
Yes, we'll make a part two of this video just for you.
Yeah, if honestly, if somebody does we definitely will do a follow up because that's just so cool to share.
So all of this is connected to the phrase monkey see, monkey do. The first case, the baboons, they copy behavior of other baboons, well, accidental behavior of other baboons, and they turn it into their new culture, nerd protective services. Then you have the snow monkeys that copy humans who go into these hot springs and bathe in the springs. And the monkey police is only really necessary because the macaques copy humans too. They want dogs, and they have this idea that they're entitled to food, so they'll just steal it. And they will molest people. They will go after you on the streets, and they will run after tourists. And this became a really big problem during COVID. And can you imagine why it was worse during COVID?
Because there's less people on the roads and streets, but
Yes.
the monkey numbers would be the same because obviously they don't follow our laws.
Yes, exactly. So there were no tourists. And you have these big packs of monkeys, and they're used to being fed. So these monkeys would swarm cities to find someone who would feed them. But the people who live there permanently don't do that. So you had really crazy pictures from India in 2020 and 2021. You had whole squares in cities full of monkeys, and they were going after everyone who came out of the houses.
Wow. I mean, I can imagine they probably even broke into some places.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And, the windows are a bit different there. It's very warm, so they often don't have glass in the windows.
Mm.
They sometimes just have shutters, and they're not shut completely all day. So they open them to let in some fresh air, especially in the evenings.
Suddenly
And
monkeys. Can you imagine? It's just like, it's just been a day. It's a bit hot. I'm gonna go ahead and open the window and just swarm of monkeys.
like 300 hungry macaques.
It's like a Wizard of Oz thing going on. That's
Oh
terrifying.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. So we have some working monkeys too in the mix. But there is a much bigger thing that we also have to talk about. And I think you know Coco, the talking gorilla.
Yeah, I remember stories about Coco.
Right. She lived in California, and allegedly she was able to use sign language. And that has been challenged lately. So there is a video on YouTube that goes into this much, much deeper, where scientists explain that these talking gorillas or talking chimps, they're not really talking apes, but it's called the clever Hans effect. And that is an effect named after a horse that was allegedly able to calculate and answer questions with tapping its hooves. That's a 19th century thing. The clever Hans, well, his name is Hans, so he's German, of course. He was a horse, and he had a handler who taught him to pick up on very small cues, like minimal gestures. So you would ask the horse a question, and it would tap its hoof and, for example, solve a math problem, but simple math problems, not anything that a university professor would ask you.
Right.
And it wasn't actually the horse. So the horse didn't understand what people were asking, and the horse wasn't able to calculate. But the horse was watching its handler and was answering the questions with the help of the handler. And there was this Simpsons episode where Lisa and Maggie did something very similar. Lisa gave Maggie cues, so Maggie could answer questions that she was too small to understand. That is a thing, and the effect is named after that horse. So that is allegedly what also happened with Coco and numerous other apes, gorillas and chimps. And well, their handlers are telling them the answer, kind of. They're giving them signs. So sadly, there are no gorillas or chimps that can actually communicate in sign language. It's not as waterproof as Coco's handlers tried to make it appear.
Right. So it's essentially, it's not that they can't communicate; it's more that they can't communicate intelligently, like with their own proper responses and thoughts. It's just like you said, that they're almost trained and programmed to answer specific things for specific answers, which it's almost like teaching a dog a trick in a way, isn't it? How ultimately the dog isn't, I'm not saying dogs are dumb, but you've taught it to respond to certain words and it will do a certain action based on those words, but that doesn't mean it's like super understanding of exactly why it's doing those things. It's just doing it because that's what it's been trained to do.
Yes, but dogs actually do understand.
Well, don't I look more stupid now? I mean, like I said, I do think dogs are intelligent, but yet again, it's not like you could have a proper conversation,
No,
with a dog.
there is this controversy because there have been studies comparing the intelligence of primates and dogs. And some say that dogs are smarter than primates, and others say that primates are smarter than dogs. One thing is that primates can recognize themselves in a mirror and dogs can't.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really deem that as the intelligence, because I think one of the better arguments would be like there's videos you see online of dogs and cats specifically. I haven't seen any other animals do it, but like their owners will get them the pads with the buttons, which have like certain words whenever they press the certain
Mhm.
buttons, and surprisingly, that tends to be that's pretty impressive if you ask me, because it's I mean, they understand what the word means because they've been trained to do it, but the fact
Mhm.
is, even in the middle of the day, they might be like, "Oh, I'm going to press this button because I'm hungry or I want to go for a walk or something," and it's a way for them to vocalize. So it is a better form of communication, but it's impressive. Whereas just pressing a random button and hoping, they do understand which buttons do what.
Right. And the difference between the communication with a dog and the communication with a primate is that dogs have been trained over hundreds of thousands of years to understand what humans look like when they mean a certain thing and what they sound like when they mean a certain thing. So they may not understand all the words you're using, but they understand your gestures and your facial expressions, and they understand the very subtle undertones of your voice. And that is something that apes cannot do.
Mhm.
For example, there is a very simple test that was done with apes and dogs. And a dog will follow your finger when you point at something. So you point to something in the room, and the dog will look in the direction that your finger points at, and the dog will go there to see what is there. But an ape will not do this. An ape will concentrate on your finger.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. The fact that, like you said, I mean, dogs have been domesticated for far longer, and obviously that they have a better understanding with us. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right, and dogs can lie.
I mean, they try,
No, they can lie.
but they also can be full of guilt.
Yes,
So
that's true.
they're not the best liars.
No, they do understand when they've done something wrong, and I mean, apes can lie too. That is an important social feature, and we have that too. So this is an ape feature that we have. But with dogs, there have been tests, and there is one oh, sorry. With dogs, there have been tests. There is one interesting video that shows a person on a chair in a room with a dog, and that person has a treat. So it's usually the owner of the dog. And the person puts the treat down on the floor and tells the dog not to take it.
Mm,
Dog not to take the treat. And then the person pretends to fall asleep on the chair. And dogs know that we don't have very good senses, so we cannot smell what they can smell. Our ears are not as sharp as their ears. They know that eyes are our primary senses. So you see on video that this dog that thinks it's alone with the owner in the room and doesn't realize there is a camera. This dog starts army crawling towards the treat, not making a sound, then silently eats the treat, then crawls back to its original position. And when the owner opens the eyes and questions where the treat has gone, the dog even pretends that it's suddenly alert because the dog pretends it has also fallen asleep and somebody came in and stole the treat. And the dog will pretend to look for that person. So it'll start sniffing the room and trying to find traces of whoever came in and stole the treat.
Wow, that is an incredible, incredible lie. I love it. That's the funniest thing.
Cover up. And I don't know, I've looked for it. So maybe we can find this video or a part of this video. But there have been tests, and even between dogs and wolves. So dogs are very, very good at picking up social cues. Wolves, not so much, but they're also quite intelligent. They're just a bit more determined and violent. What I mean by this is that there have been tests between wolves and dogs. So they've used puppies, and they've put something to eat in a cage. And the dog or wolf could not open that cage. And the treat in the cage wouldn't just fall out. They could see it, they could smell it, but they could not open it.
Right.
And what happened was that the dog tried to get the treat out, but when the dog realized it wasn't possible, that even an untrained puppy would go to the person who was conducting the experiment. And these were not always people that the dogs knew. So the dog knows that a human can help him. And he goes to that stranger and he asks for help to get the treat out of the cage. That also happens with opening doors, for example. So a dog knows that if the door is closed and it can't get out, then it can ask a human for help.
Mhm.
And the wolves would not react like that. The wolves would destroy the cage. They're not used to asking for help, and they don't trust the stranger. And even if there had been someone that they knew, for example, an animal handler that they had met before that had fed them, they will not wait for a human to open the cage for them. Wolves are more independent and they're not used to cooperating with humans. So the wolf would throw the cage around and like crash it into some rocks until the cage just opened because they had destroyed it. Same with the door.
I could see that. So that's quite interesting. The fact that
Yes.
even a young dog that might not have had much or even any human interaction, all would still go to a person. That's very interesting.
Right. And another thing is that when you have some raw meat and the dog is trying to get the raw meat and you step in the dog's way, the dog will back off. A wolf does not do that. Again, they tested puppies of both species, and the young dog that was not trained in any way would try to get to the raw meat, and then the person stepped in between the dog and the meat, and the dog backed off. And when they did this with the wolf pup would just run around them and get the meat and run off with it.
Mm.
So you can stop a dog without saying anything. You can just step in a dog's way and the dog knows, oh, okay, this is not for me. I should back off. Not so much with a wolf.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that tracks, but I think it'd be similar with any kind of a wild animal, really, wouldn't it? I'm sure
Yeah.
some would kind of interact with people, but I definitely I think bigger ones like proper predator types probably would have no issue just completely ignoring people, unless obviously the person was properly in their way, in which case then I feel like they'd probably potentially attack him even, so I could see that.
Yes. So dogs are really special in that regard. And there is one journalist, Mark Durr, who actually says dogs socialized humans. This is a bit controversial, not because of the socializing aspect, but because of what it implies. So the idea is that we domesticated dogs, or we domesticated wolves, so they became dogs.
Mm.
But at the same time, dogs taught us better social behavior.
That's
And
funny.
we can see that when you look at big apes. When you look at chimps, for example, they don't react like humans. They are much more violent. And chimps have a society where they don't really do things like showing mercy or backing off or not attacking someone who's on the ground already. But we do that. And according to this theory that Mark Durr presented in his book, dogs taught us to show mercy.
To be more like compassionate and stuff. I get you.
Yes, and
Interesting.
it's a question of natural weapons. So we as humans, we have very weak natural weapons. We don't have claws or teeth. We're not particularly fast or strong. So we have to solve problems with our brain and our hands.
Just another reason why we develop tools.
Yes, exactly. And that is the problem. Because animals with strong weapons, they have a code. So when wolves fight, for example, or when lions fight, they have ritualized ways of fighting. They're not trying to harm or kill each other because they know that they have strong natural weapons. So their fights are so ritualized that they may hurt each other, but they're usually not killing each other in fights.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an effect of their strong natural weapons, that they know they're highly armed and they're not trying to kill the other one in an infight, in a group infight. But people like us, or animals like us, with weak weapons, we will go to the end. We will actually kill the opponent. And that is because our weapons are so weak that we have to go all in when we're fighting, because we can't cause that much damage when we're holding back. Does that make sense?
I could see the logic and thinking behind it. Yeah, it really kind of actually makes a fair amount of sense the more you really kind of dive into it. Because when you think about like, I mean, even people who mug people, for example, with some kind of weapon. I mean, even if they claim they might not, they're not there to hurt you and stuff, they very quickly are okay to hurt you if they have to. You know what I mean? It's definitely. Yeah, this is quite interesting. I mean, then you got obviously the notion of like serial killers and things like that. People who have no issue doing these depraved acts, and multiple times even. I mean, yeah, whether you want to speak about methodical or not, that's not really relevant. The point is, it's about the fact that you're right. We do absolutely, go all in when we're, going in for anything that could potentially kill people.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
So now think about our tools, our weapons. Now imagine that someone who has this weak inhibition to use violence develops a nuke. Not good. Dogs have stronger inhibition than us because they have stronger weapons. So the idea is that in the process of domesticating dogs, we also learn social behavior from them. And this is why we show mercy and why we don't hit the kid with the glasses, for example. This is why we don't kick people in the ribs who are on the ground. And this is why we have developed rules for fighting. We're not just going at someone. We have rules, and we say, for example, you can't hit the head in a fight. You have to take care that you don't cause irreparable damage when you're fighting. So all of this is not typical for chimps, but it's typical for dogs.
Let's see. But, I mean, chimps have, I mean, even though they've got hands and stuff like we do, but I'd say their teeth are probably more ferocious than ours. So that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yes, and the
Even
way
they
they
would show
fight.
restraint.
The way they fight is different. There are videos of this, but a lot of these videos are censored because you see chimps that are ripping off the face and the hands and the genitals of opponents. When they fight, they really go all in. They're trying to cause maximal damage, and they're not just trying to kill someone, they're trying to disable someone. So it's not even a fast death. it's a slow death. They want to cause damage and torture the opponent.
Jesus Christ.
This is the reason why chimps are the one animal that is instantly shot at sight when they get out of their compounds at a zoo.
Huh.
Even big cats, like even when a tiger escapes, tigers are really, really dangerous. They're more dangerous than lions. They will try to catch the tiger and bring it back, but they will not try to catch a chimp.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand it with big cats because there's plenty of videos that show that even big cats in cages, I mean, yeah, they might not always have the best conditions, but you tend to, I wouldn't say domesticate them, but you tend to be able to have them be more civilized towards people, you know. And then some of them, they are just big cats, you know. They are just super goofy, lovey boys, you know. So I get that, but yeah, if chimps are far more depraved and dangerous, then okay. I didn't know that it was a, you know, shoot on sight kind of a situation, but I mean, I could see the logic behind it because yeah, I mean, if they even get to you at all, you could not only die, but be like torn limb from limb. You know, maybe like rip out your eyes and genitals and shit like that. Like that's just that's a crazy, crazy death.
Maybe you've heard about the case of Charla Nash.
Charla Nash, no.
So that was in the United States, and a friend of Charla had a chimp named Travis, and that chimp was treated like a human pretty much. They even let him drive a car, and he was able to drive a car.
Okay.
Drink alcohol. They
That was a
they
bad idea.
yes. So Travis was used to pretty much being able to do whatever he wanted, and he was a grown chimp at that point. And he had known Charla for a very long time. She was a friend of the family. But one day he completely lost it and he attacked her. And Travis's owner called the police. So there is a 911 call about this, and it's very disturbing. I don't know if you want to play that. But she calls the police and she's screaming on the phone for them to come with guns and shoot the chimp. Because at that point, Travis had ripped off Charla's face and hands. She was still alive, so she's still alive now, as far as I know. We should look into this. It's possible that she died of old age, but she survived the attack actually. But she lost a couple of limbs. She had to get a face transplant after this. She had to get new hands after this. And Travis's owner thought she was dead. She was screaming on the phone that the chimp killed her friend, and they have to come and they have to shoot the chimp. So the police was not understanding what was going on. They knew Travis. He was quite popular with the police, actually, because they had caught him a few times driving a car. They had not done anything about this. So the police on the phone was very relaxed. They didn't understand why this was a 911 call. And they asked stupid questions throughout the call, and they did not understand why they had to bring guns. And the owner knew that it was necessary. They could not stop Travis because she had tried. She had stabbed Travis with a butcher knife. And nothing happened. He just went on to maul Charla.
Jesus.
And this is where the controversial part comes in. So I'm okay if you don't want to send this out.
It also depends how much information and bits on it I can find, but it is fascinating. It's horrifying, especially.
No, not this part. It gets more controversial.
Oh right, okay.
The controversial part is that people who were not socialized by dogs are more violent than people who are socialized by dogs. And this implies that there are whole cultures that don't value dogs, that don't like dogs, and think they're dirty and they're inferior animals.
I mean, there are some cultures that'll even eat them as well, you know? So I can see that.
Yes, and it implies that these people are not socialized by dogs, so their behavior should be more chimp-like, and that is actually the case. So you can see this, that whole cultures that don't value dogs are usually more violent and don't show mercy. And it's controversial because you can be accused of racism when you say something like this.
Hmm. Well, ultimately, it's going to be, I mean, we're going to go with it. I have no issue with us covering controversial topics because at the end
Mhm.
of the day, whether people choose to believe in them or not, we are allowed to have our own opinions and ideas. And if some of them are backed up by fact, that's cool. But yet again, people are allowed to disagree, and that's absolutely fine. We're not here to cause any fights or arguments. We're here to
Yes.
bring a discussion to the table, and we're happy to have open discussions with people. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I don't see any reason not to cover stuff. I mean, yeah, some things are uncomfortable to talk about for sure. But yet again, we'd put disclaimers if there's anything too problematic or controversial, and then there's probably some things even we won't fully cover as well. But no, I think this one. I think this one's it's interesting. Really, it's an interesting observation.
Yes. So if you're not socialized by dogs, you show more chimp-like behavior, and that is true for individuals, but also for groups of people. Um, and I want to end on a rather positive note after this,
Okay.
because I know it's a very heavy topic. I mean, Travis and the controversy about possible racism. Um, the positive thing is that Harry Harlow, an American psychologist, proved in the 1950s that love is more important than food with monkeys. And I'll show you a picture of this. So he did some monkey experiments with very young monkeys that he had taken away from their mothers. So this is also a bit controversial, simply because he took these babies from their mothers and
Right.
he experimented on them. But those were behavioral experiments, so he did not physically harm them.
Yeah.
He harmed
Yeah.
them mentally. Um, yes, Harry Harlow did an experiment in the 1950s where he had two puppets, and these were the mother puppets for the monkey
Oh.
baby. So he took them away from their actual mothers, and then he put them in a room with these two puppets, and one was made of wires, and this wire mom had a milk bottle in her wire body.
So
So
she could pretend to breastfeed and stuff. Yeah.
right, and the other mom didn't have a milk bottle. She was also made of wire, but she was padded, and she had some probably artificial fur on her. So this one was called the cloth mom.
Hmm.
And what happened in the experiment was that the baby monkeys would go to the wire mom to drink milk. But 99% of the time they spent on the cloth mom. They were sitting on the soft and furry cloth mom, and they were cuddling with it, with this puppet that did not respond. So in these experiments, Harlow was able to prove that love is more important than food because the baby monkeys did not like the wire mom. They really only went over to drink milk, and as soon as they were done, they would come back to the soft and cuddly mom.
Hmm. It's a I want to say form over function, but I don't think that's quite the word I'm looking for. It's more it makes me think of even we as humans, how we're quite happy with comfort. Like we enjoy having, especially our homes being a place that is full of comfort, whether it be comfortable furniture or just things that make us feel good. It's a similar
Mhm.
sense, isn't it? Whereas, yeah, I mean, obviously, when you go out and you get food or you even have food at home, a lot of people do enjoy having food at home compared to going out because, yet again, it's a comfort thing, isn't it? Like you're still getting what you need, but there's a comfort attached to it. It's a safety net in a kind of way. So I'm gonna see some of that.
Yes, and it's a huge thing. It has huge implications for human behavior too. We're so close to monkeys, and these experiments were used to go further and theorize about what children need. And they came to the conclusion that children need a lot of attention, they need closeness, they don't just need food. And this completely contradicts the Maslow pyramid of needs. Guess you've seen that.
It's ringing a bell. Yeah.
Yes, it's this pyramid of human needs, and you have um, the lowest level of it. That is the basic needs that cannot be negotiated, that you need to fulfill until you can climb the next step. And the basic needs are food, water, and shelter. And then you can make up your mind about things like morals and politics and art and so on. That is all in the higher tiers of the pyramid. Um, but love is not on the lowest tier. And these monkeys prove that love is, in some cases, more important than food. So for a baby, you would have to include love in the lowest tier, in the basic needs.
That makes sense.
Right. So this is our monkey video, not just filled with monkeys, but also with dogs and wolves. And we have some other animal topics, for example, working animals. And I was thinking about including them in this video, but I think we should give them their own video because it's not just monkey police. And I think that monkey see, monkey do is a good enough topic on its own.
Thank you so much to my YouTube members and Patreon members for all the love and support. It's thanks to people like you that we can keep growing.